alphanumeric. Just right off that reboot train. Guys, here we are in what is the last best of 3 tonight. Copa Americans rejoice because one of these guys will qualify for the round of 8 and join Major. Now, without getting into biases, Desrow did take the Series 2 on the first time. We'll see if he can repeat that. It would almost be really nice if he did, statistically speaking. Again, no biases. Because it's all Zergs in the round of 8. So, having a little bit of a different race in it could be kind of cool. Regardless, though, we are going to be cheering for your favorite players. So if you guys are here for JonSnow, make sure you root hard because spawning here in the bottom left corner of the map, he's blue from Solaris Gaming. It's going to be JonSnow.
In the upper right, as the red Protoss, it is Desrow.
So it's kind of interesting with the way these guys had played that first series out. It wasn't really a raffle stomp, I don't feel. You know, it wasn't so one-sided that you're sitting there screaming wrecked at the top of your lungs. Desrow, of course, just came off a series versus Major. He was kind of forced to cheese. And, oh, JonSnow, what are you doing? I guess it's become kind of standard to do on Overgrowth, but because Desrow's gone Forge first, he doesn't actually have to pull all the probes. You just throw it on the cannon and be good to go.
Yeah.
Oh my god, why did we do the 90s talk? Now I'm seeing people in chat talk about the Tamagotchis and stuff. Yo, I got in so much trouble in school for feeding my Tamagotchi in class.
My Pikachu just left me and never came back. Oh my god, Furbies?
Okay, no, this is ridiculous. I guess for the sake of VODs or whatever, we had a bit of a nostalgia trip prior to getting into this series, and because of the delay on stream, we're still seeing amazing things come up in chat, but it's like, well, after the game's already begun. Actually, speaking of Furbies, Gremlins was another one of those 90s movies. Oh my god.
Yeah, I bought the 90s nostalgia pack for Cards Against Humanity. Some of the cards were pretty awesome.
Nice. Alright, so Desrow's actually done a fairly successful job here, actually, of blocking out the natural. This does force JonSnow to just go take his third, but it's not like he's been wasting minerals. He did throw the pool down. He didn't want to waste too much time with this. And Desrow's got to be careful with this probe. I mean, it's nice to block, but you don't want to give it away for free. Back at home, Desrow did clear up that proxy, cancel on the hatchery, so JonSnow actually gets the drone to the main. Very dangerous for JonSnow to actually, or for Desrow to leave this alive. Proxies in the main can be incredibly dangerous because of the lack of space. You don't see a lot. There's a lot of fog of war, and there's a lot of places this can go down. I don't imagine JonSnow is going to do that unless he felt there was some sort of unstoppable all-in coming, or if Desrow was turtling way too hardcore, but it's always an option with the drone being alive.
Is actually like
Gargoyles was another thing. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry.
Oh, they're just gonna keep on thinking of things. But yes, quite game going on and everything like that. Very good, very good.
Just like tut. Very good, sir. But okay, looks like the Zell will find the drone that was hiding up here. For JonSnow, I mean, this was just for. I mean, it's more for scouting than anything else. You can go for proxy hatcheries, but if you do, it's usually startups because you need it to be finished around now. So he's just getting around and scout for quite a bit of time. It's kind of the equivalent of having those lings in the base, right? Like, you know, they're not really here to kill probes; they're here to just keep running around and scouting forever. And he's gonna lose the drone sadly because he wasn't paying attention. Did not need to lose that, but
no. Well, this game started off a little interesting, but honestly, it's really equalized. I mean, resources lost pretty much doesn't even matter right now. Not even worth looking at, really. The wall looks correct. The Twilight Temple is coming down.
I love the recovery cast from Zombie Grove. I think that's my favorite. Right, so stuff is happening. The wall is good. The wall's pretty solid. It's made out of things.
For reals though, usually when you see a hatchery block, you just like it becomes like they put like cannons everywhere and they try and bring down the probes. But Desrow reacted very calmly. Yeah.
Really nice sniper on the Overlord too. Meanwhile, the other Overlord is going to run out of the base, so JonSnow and keep that alive for scouting later. I think there's some confusion in chat because of how fast the previous series went, guys. This is the finals of the group. Major's already through the group. He did not fall out. Desrow did lose to him, sadly, but JonSnow also played his losers match at the exact same time, so that's why we're here in the finals. You guys didn't see 5 back-to-back best-of-3s.
That fast Twilight Council was in fact for a no. Oh, I guess the Overlord was gonna go see it. So did put down the Dark Shrine, but the Overlord was way too far gone into the base, and the Stalkers were of course trying to harass.
On creep, Stalker's not going to get a whole lot done. Off a creep, they'll be fun, fantastic friends to have. Zealot does get picked off here pretty quickly, and the Mothership, well, actually, versus the Queen, is going to lose this fight. Oh, anyway. Let the Queen get 2 free shots and disengages. Speed's so far off from finishing. I don't know why he's chasing with the Lings. JonSnow really could and should probably pull back off this. Meanwhile, Desrow does sneak in a third while this is going on. A little bit bold. You don't get to actually, you don't usually get away with this early, but of course, the sooner this completes, the sooner he'll be able to overcharge it and get his economy underway.
Yeah. And of course, his initial plan to go for DTs was cut, but Blink Stalkers is not a bad follow-up. I mean, sometimes that's what you would have been doing anyways, just of course, a little bit later. 4 per gateways completing that wall off. JonSnow, we saw him go for a lot of, the Ling Hydra, and then eventually go into Roaches, but here we actually see him getting Roaches first, so a little bit, buffer, more buff, I guess the way you put it, but okay, he did see the third, so I wonder if he's going to try and cancel it, make any more units other than the ones that he's already gotten. 5 more, maybe? There really isn't a lot for Desrow to hold this. It's rather bold, but of course a cannon can do a lot.
Oh, well, the problem is if he's got it in the middle of the map, he might have to burn some time warps or even a recall to get back home, which will leave him without a cannon, and that could really suck. But you can get some magical things done with Blink in StarCraft 2, guys, especially if you're really good with your control. Desrow is one of those players who can use Stalkers to pretty great effect, especially because JonSnow isn't the guy who's going for Swarm Hosts. What is kind of cool, though, is JonSnow, for those who don't know his playstyle, is kind of all over the place. I wouldn't say he is one specialty. Like, we joke around with players like Life, you say the Lings, you associate the 2. Okay, cool. JonSnow doesn't have anything I would necessarily associate with his character, but what I can say is he can comfortably play any strategy. So, Desrow, not counting out Swarm Host by doing this, but it's kind of nice to know there's a good chance you won't have to deal with them.
That's one thing we did not see. We saw him even try with Brood Lords, but not Swarm Hosts. Desrow gets a good scout with his Phoenix. Does not see, a Spire or even a Hydralisk Den, but he gets a little trapped out with the Lings. Blink is finished. There he goes.
But it's a little too much, I think. Good force fields out of Desrow. Oh my god, those are actually legit almost the most perfect force fields I've ever seen.
Yeah. Of course, if you want to completely wall it off, it takes 4 or 5. I think it's
4.
No,
it takes 4, yeah, but only for Roaches. Lings will always slip through if there's only 4, but still, nonetheless, pretty good position there. Keeps a lot of Stalkers alive. Otherwise, that could have been a very, very bad situation very quickly. With the Immortal Protection on the way, he's going to be able to deal with the Roaches pretty nicely, but this third, I look at it, it's kind of scary. It's kind of barren. It's not really that well protected. There's not even a cannon here. I mean, Desrow is going to be susceptible to run bys later on unless he finishes off that wall.
Ooh. Double Stargate from Desrow. His first hallucinated Phoenix did not scout a Spire, and he has not scouted again since, so not sure what's telling him to make 2 Stargates. He is getting a Spire, so his intuition is correct.
Yeah, he's reading this really nicely. I think on the passiveness. Let's go with another word for JonSnow. Confirms this with the scout, and the thing that's really nice is, like, let's say he didn't need this for the Spire. Like, let's say if Double Phoenix Protection wasn't on his mind, Void Rays would not be too shabby versus a very roach-heavy composition as we're witnessing. You might argue, hey, Rifkin, you could just go for a bunch of Immortals then, but the problem for Desrow is he doesn't have a whole lot of sentries. This is a situation where a Protoss player has 4. Normally used to seeing somebody with 9 or 13.
Now, Desrow, good force fields? Yeah, good force fields.
Really good force fields, yeah.
Yeah, Desrow was investing a lot into these Phoenixes, and luckily for him, JonSnow has not scouted this, because there is an interesting, we've seen it at least once or twice. Actually, I think it was Desrow who last did this, where he sees a Spire and he starts, investing a lot in the Phoenixes, and then he gets blindsided by, like, Roaches and Hydras. This is not going to be the case. JonSnow is still going for Mutas, so Desrow will just, will have a surprisingly good counter already. I mean, this might be actually a little bit shocking to JonSnow how well prepared. I mean, two Phoenixes at a time, as well as the range already started. These Phoenixes are not going to have a good first 5 minutes of their life.
No, what's kind of really annoying about it too is, I mean, they're not going to add a lot to anything really. I mean, the mutas are coming out, okay, cool, great, but how are they going to gravitate and beam this many Roaches, this many Zerglings? Like, Desrow's still going to be relying really heavily on the force fields. Stalker's going to wreck the Corruptors if given the opportunity, but that's one of those really big if scenarios.
Looks like JonSnow might be able to get the fourth. I don't know if he's actually scouted it, but he seems to be gearing up for the third at the very least. The Phoenixes are going over to harass. There's not even a sport caller over here, and even if there was, with as many Phoenixes he'll be getting, it won't even matter. So run! See ya. Not sure why the War Prism's there. Range is about to finish for the Phoenixes. Still pumping out 2 at a time. Of course, he just confirmed for a fact that mutas are actually on their way out. And, you know, there wasn't a switch into something else.
It's a nice comfortable feeling too, you know, after you dedicate into the Phoenix production. Last thing you want to see is a bunch of, I don't know, not air units to deal with, but Desrow's also coming up on those level 3 weapon upgrades. He's got the air weapon upgrades coming up behind this. Dealing with the corruptors is not going to be that big of an issue as long as he doesn't get sideswiped on the ground. A couple of mutas even in the middle of the map starting to get sniped off.
I don't know about this.
He blinks into the lings. Yeah, he blinks into the lings. I'm not sure what the deal with that was. Force fields go down a little bit delayed because of how ahead his stalkers have gotten of the rest of the army, but comes in with the Phoenixes from behind. He'll clean up the mutas. The corruptors are on the wrong side of this fight.
You know what? I think that's actually kind of a good trade for both players. It's like an alright trade for both players. I mean, they're both still on a decent economy. JonSnow might lose his 5th, which is a little disappointing, but 50 lings are on the way. We'll lose all of the corruptors, but I don't think, you know, Desrow has recognized that maybe there's no longer going to be any mutas, and JonSnow has recognized that there's, you know, too many Phoenixes to go into mutas.
Well, the fungal growth is actually a really nice choice here out of JonSnow. Had Desrow actually continued with the Phoenix production, you know, it gets out of hand pretty quickly. Had this been Void Rays or something as a transition, either way, fungal growths are a good way to deal with everything here, because Blink Stalkers are only strong through their mobility come to the late game.
Yeah. Well, that Dark Shrine that was started 9 minutes ago, coming back here again. I believe his War Prism is still alive. Yeah, it is. It's just shown in the main base for now. Maybe use it later, but JonSnow, yeah, definitely has just, you know, completely done away with mutas. Desrow is still finishing up his +1 for the Phoenixes, but it actually won't be that useful. I'm just going to rely on nothing but Lings and Infestors. Not something we see that often anymore. There used to be a strategy back in Wings of Liberty, Ling Infestor, but...
I know it's probably a misclick, but I'm really hoping to see Ventral Sax actually use this game.
Oh, yeah. You know, it could be really cool. Dropping everywhere with a couple of Lings.
Well, Eaton Fester's coming up behind this. Dark Shrine, though, for Desrow completing in a moment's time. And one thing for JonSnow, we're focusing a lot on like what he couldn't do. One thing that he does have to be very careful of is he doesn't have a lot of Overseers. But there's been no necessity for Overseers. In fact, he's got 1, period. So those Dark Templar might actually be incredibly problematic. I'm surprised Desrow didn't push harder into this. He saw the Lings in the main with the Phoenix. Could have easily taken out that gold.
Yeah. Yeah, that is... it definitely would have been free. Does finally get rid of the Phoenixes from his main base, but now he's got the Spore up everywhere, and that will be, luckily for him, the detection that he needs, but, you know, he just doesn't have a lot that can stick around. That, you know, even 3DTs can take on a lot of Lings, and they warp into the main and being unseen. That Warpism spot got him last time, too.
He could probably just focus the Spores really quick, then he wouldn't have to deal with anything. I mean, fungal growth will reveal it, I guess, but...
Yeah, that's true. Good thing is fungal growth, because the other option is to kill all the spores, then come in and kill the Overseer with the Phoenixes. Like,
he's slaughtering all the DTs, by the way. He went to the natural mineral line as well. Didn't even catch this. 3 DTs over here, same time. So 20 workers down. Gonna get the Ultros Cavern. Oh boy, this was the only thing that was really a threat to Desrow, because JonSnow has been going for melee upgrades behind this, and there's not a lot of Immortals. Taking the Ultros Cavern down buys Desrow immediately 3 minutes of the game, where he's just in this absolutely grace period where he knows he's not going to get countered. Now, of course, he's still not going to get overzealous. There's so many Lings in play. There's so many fungal growths available. His Stalkers could dissipate very quickly.
Yeah. Maybe
this is like a C.
Now. Yeah, low Lings. The War Prism could have gotten out of there. Actually, might still be able to get out of there. There it goes. But Desrow, he saw that Ultros Cavern. He's going to go for 2 Immortals at a time, need be. And in fact, I didn't realize this. The Templar Archives had not been down until now. But JonSnow actually transferring into Broodlords.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary because Desrow, of course, doesn't have a Colossus. But without those force fields, this is a bit of a mess with all these Lings here. Blinks backwards, but just going to have to recall out. There's just too much here. I mean, this is truly for the Swarm, but when do you normally see this, right? I mean, what are 120-something Lings at this point in the game? 135. See, some Stalkers did manage to blink up here to the main.
3 Archons and 5 Archons and 3 Immortals.
It's a lot
At a
of
time. Jeez.
There's a lot of focus on what is sadly going to be the wrong units for the time being.
Yeah.
Archons are not going to be bad for some Broodlings. If they get under the Broodlords and the Corruptors, great, even better. But without Colossus, this is not going to be fun to hold. I mean, if he's got Storms, that's as well something you can argue. Broodlords do eventually die to them. But Desrow, who invested in the double Stargates, the second he catches wind of this, he can just throw in a 30 target the Fleet Beacon. Tempest, easiest counter to Broodlords you've ever seen.
Yeah. JonSnow, you know, if that happens, he might be feeling a little flustered. Whoa, did he never get a Robotics Bay either? Wow. Latest Robotics Bay, latest Templar Archives I've ever seen.
You know, I can't blame him, though, because the momentum he had going kind of looked like he was going to win the game with what was mostly the composition he had. There was no, like, dire necessity to move on, but, yeah, this is getting a little bit scary for Desrow at this point.
I'm more scared for JonSnow.
Oh, I like these DTs. If they're on hold position, it would have been better.
Yeah, mostly because, you know, Desrow, the initial Broodlords will not be countered, but he has he has 2 Stargates and, you know, an upgrade for them as well. Getting Board Race, getting Tempest, not a big deal.
Well, yeah, off the gas tank it technically is, but, you know, just saying.
Okay, he can afford, like, 2 Tempests at a time, but still, like, as long as he doesn't just sacrifice his ground army.
I gotta be careful. A lot of these fungals
army.
landing on the stalkers that blink
army.
forward into this.
What are you doing?
He's losing his ground army zombie gun. Pretty simple. Decides to recall, but after taking such heavy losses, and I mean, up to this point, Desrow was pretty far ahead as far as trading goes. His resources lost was significantly less. DT's actually hunting the infestors underneath this.
DTs, please. Fungals. Oh, over's here.
Yeah, instant army. What's up? Just add water.
Okay. So, okay, Desrow did lose a lot right there, and he's not going to be able to get this 4th again. That's going to be a recurring problem. But he didn't lose.
No cancel!
Oh, that was a mistake. There's no way he's going to be able to fix it.
I mean, for him to think he can hold this is really bold, but it's not going to happen, sadly. Archon's also going to get surrounded and picked off by Zerglings. Actually, might just barely get away alive.
He needs those Tempests. I know he got them. There are no Corruptors to deal with a Tempest. If they're just 2 Tempests, they will eventually take care of the Broodlords.
They don't one-shot them, though. You need 3 shots. 2 won't cut it, even with upgrades.
That's true.
So.
But where are they? I know he built them, unless he's
they're
slow
and
make other things.
It's not good. They're slow. Look, they're
he
coming.
just didn't have him in his army. Oh, no. The counterattack was
not
too
looking
fast. Desrow.
Yeah, Desrow's got a counterattack of his own going on at the same time, but it's just not going to be enough. I feel like this is just too much.
There's nothing to actually kill the Tempest, so they might just trade armies in this really weird situation.
You know what? That is true. The majority of the army here is just the free units that spawn from the Broodlings, but it's still taking a while nonetheless. Infested Terrans! Yeah!
There's only 4.
Infested Terrans MVP! Losing the Immortals, though, nonetheless, losing the Archons underneath. Is JonSnow swapping into Swarm Host as the follow-up? Can we get a Stefano Disgusting, please? I mean, really?
I mean, it's better than... Okay.
But look, Desrow's killed so much on the other side of the field. Like, while this is going on, DT slaughtered the natural. Zealots got the 4th. He's mining off the gold still, but I mean, yikes. JonSnow, I wouldn't say... I thought he had this game, quite frankly, but those Tempests, man. I didn't think 2 would do it, but 2 did it.
If he had any amount of Corruptors, he probably actually would have won that fight. You know, like 6 Corruptors. Just target onto each of the Tempests. He probably saved so much of his army, I don't know. But JonSnow, that ended up being his last hurrah, really. I mean, Swarm Host can buy you a lot of time, but you're only mining off of 1 base.
Well, it's also only like 6 or 8 Swarm Hosts. Like, this is hardly an army of Swarm Hosts. You can just walk away and around those.
Just walk around them. Pardon me, excuse me.
Yeah, coming through.
Yeah, he can probably blink on top of them if the Locust Waves aren't synced up. Like, that's a lot of things. All the fun still.
It's hilarious because, you know, Desrow got his Colossus so late. JonSnow now getting his Locust so late. Usually this production is kicked up 7 minutes ago, guys, but 27 minutes mark at the game, hardly standard. The one thing I would say, though, is even if JonSnow were able to replace the bases he lost, I still think Desrow's in a much better spot. He's got a larger supply. His own gold's coming down insecure. I mean, JonSnow was mining off a gold that whole time, and he never had the economy to, you know, sort of overwhelm Desrow. That's the advantage of the gold base usually. You know, if you have a gold and your opponent doesn't, you've got more money to work with, more units to throw away, and you'll burn through it faster, but you'll usually be much further ahead as a consequence. He never got ahead with this gold, and now all this gold is doing is barely stabilizing him. Desrow, in the meantime, he's about to match that.
You know, this is interesting. Desrow took so long to get the Colossus Den, as we like to call it. He took so long to get the Templar Archives, and it turns out he never
Send
actually got an
thermals.
armor upgrade.
That's not thermal lance either.
Well, I think the armor upgrade is more shocking.
I disagree. You actually don't see armor grades a lot in PvZ, right? Like it's usually like if you get the money, you're in 3-3-3 straight across the board. But weapons and then nothing. But Phoenix is.
I mean, true. You do get the weapons upgrade first for sure, up to 3. But he chose to get the shields, of course, because he was going for Phoenixes, and they don't.
Well,
kind of
and Archons.
Well, eventually he did go in Archons, right? But his Templar Archives was really late, remember?
Yeah.
So it was eventuality, yes. But anyways, he probably isn't even going to invest into it because as you said, like it's more like I have the economy, so I'm going to get like the extra engineering bay upgrades type of deal. That's what the armor is for Protoss.
Alright, so Phoenix is going to get some pretty good kills here. There are fungal growths. Desrow's got to look out for it. Will lose one of his Phoenix, sadly.
JonSnow is getting a mishmash of units. Some mutas, some corruptors.
It's a grab bag.
Yeah, it's.
Where's getting Ultra mixed in here?
I don't think everybody built the Ultra stat.
I think an Ultralisk, a Broodlord, and a Hydralisk Den, and he'll have made every unit in the game.
Sick.
Anyways, Desrow's Colossus count is up to 6. This is more than enough to push into those Locust Waves, especially since he has Storms holstered beyond this. The Phoenixes will help Vanguard these out just a little bit. I mean, the Corruptors will come in hard, but they're not going to be able to just blindly focus them down. There's a lot of Stalkers and a lot of Phoenix to cover this.
Your Ultras are coming, bro.
Yeah, eventually.
Gotta wait a little while longer.
We'll see, we'll see. What is scary is, of course, the lack of detection here. I think Desrow's got like a 1 observer with the army. No, sorry. 2.
Go, Mutas, go!
Mutas trying to do what they can. However, most of the ground army for both players has kind of been eliminated. Difference is Colossus are going to stand a little bit stronger and a little bit longer. Stalkers are trying to focus fire down this, but the Observer needs to move forward. Desrow realizing that now. After his Stalkers are forced to blink backwards, kind of sucks. Throwing away some of his own Colossus now, wasting a lot of shots here on absolutely nothing, but the Locusts have been cleaned up, the Swarmos have been cleaned up, and a dance.
Whoa.
Ooh. This is, if you want to karmically lose a game that you're ahead in, start dancing your units.
That ended up in Desrow's favor, and he still has a lot of his high-tech units and all, but, for being, like, 60 supply lower than your opponent, I thought that went rather well for JonSnow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Desrow takes game number 1.
The only time I've seen dancing, like, non-BM was Kane got really far ahead of his opponent. It was, like, this really weird game where he was, like, mono battle, basically just was winning against Terran with Lings, and he very explicitly went into the fog of war so his opponent couldn't see him start slash dancing, so that way he could slash dance for the audience without like BMing his opponent. I thought that was hilarious.
Or just waiting for the the long Terran plan where his opponent looks at the replay.
maybe it's the long con. But okay, so map number 1, Overgrowth, in the favor of Desrow, guys. Map number 2 is going to be on Merry-Go-Round, and map 3, if it gets there, will be King Sejong Station. I do want to remind you guys, this did go to game number 3 the first time they fought, and this is the rematch in the finals. Did they play Merry-Go-Round the first time?
Yes. Yes, that's the one that you went 3 hours before pool on.
Right, yeah.
Memory.
Nailed it.
Got it.
For those discussing frame rate and frame drops and stuff on the stream, guys, we know. Believe you me, we know. We even reset the router and stuff on the stream. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just on Twitch. Like, I don't know. I've tried. We were casting Rebel Battlegrounds earlier today as well. Same issues, same problems, and they only cleared up for like brief amounts of time when they went away on their own. So I don't know what to tell you. Either way, we are trying to bring you the best stream that we can. I promise you that much. And we're not ignorant of the fact that there's a bit of technical problems tonight, but sadly it's out of our hands. Anyways, we're in the lobby for Merry-Go-Round. JonSnow versus Desrow, game number 2. We'll be starting up here in just a sec. I gotta go update the score. Shoot, I closed all that. Save it, nailed it. Whoop. Alright, so what's really important at this point, if you guys aren't familiar with what you're tuning in for, where you've been tuning in for, this is for the round of 8. This is the last chance to get in. Major already secured one of the 2 slots from the group. This best of 3 determines the second player out and the second player through. So, Daze has sadly been eliminated from the group since then. Coming to this matchup, I mean, at the start of the day I called it. I said Major Desrow probably my expected to get through the group. I solely and entirely believe in JonSnow to have the power to upset and take this by surprise, but he's going to have to work really hard being down 1. Dude, do they... I don't know if this is a joke. They always type like Haiti. Like, Haiti? Are you Haiti? Alright guys, see you in a sec. Alright, Desrow recanting the tales of the last battle. This is game number 2 for Copa America Group D, the finals, guys. This is the last match tonight, last match in this group, and we'll see which of these two guys gets through. This could be a very fast series, it could be a very long series. PVZ can go anywhere, and we'll have to wait to see where this direction goes. Spawning here in the middle, central, bottom portion. Man, that was complicated. The bottom side of merry-go-round. It's going to be the Blue Zerg player, JonSnow.
Never left as the red Protoss. It is Desrow.
Landing on a bit thick here. Although I'm not gonna lie, I do like seeing a little bit of banter between players. Too often do we have the like polite GLHF and no commentary. And people always seem to get riled up a little bit, good or bad, for the commentary. I think one of my favorites, of course, is like when you got players who are close friends start being silly, like was it JYP called Be All Ugly or something in their match? You remember that?
Yeah.
Or like Hyun was like, MMA, are you even there? And MMA responds with like, MMA has left the game. So I love a little bit of banter from time to time. But alright, so Desrow, I mean, for him, he's kind of, it feels like a lot of terms he goes to, whether it's Canadian, whether it's American, North American in general, broad span, he always falls a little bit shy, a little bit short. I think Copa America is not exactly a place for Desrow to break out. At this point, people know who he is. It's not like he needs brand recognition. But it would be good to finally see him get a chance at a tournament spot, even if it is something like the Copa America Seasonals rather than the Copa America Grand Finals. The nice thing is, though, if he does well, I'm sure he'll be back for Season 3. So for him to get out of this group, a little important, but equally said for JonSnow, another player who maybe not as famous as Desrow and definitely hasn't had results, could really use a win. So if he can get out of his group, it puts him in a pretty good standing chance, if his ZVZ is good, to at least finish top 4 in this tournament.
That would certainly be pretty cool for him. Desrow, a little more accomplished, as you're saying, but you know, this is actually Desrow's first time in Copa America, right?
Yep.
Am I wrong on that? Because last time,
the Canadian slots were not, yeah. Him and Hindralisk are the newcomers to the arena.
Right, yeah. So it'd be nice for him to get, you know, because I don't think Desrow really has a high placing finish. Not many foreigners do, honestly, have high placements in, you know, big tournaments. Just, you know, Koreans seem to take over everything. But this tournament is specific to mostly South Americans, but also to a couple of North Americans, a couple of lucky North Americans.
Well, specifically 3 from America and 3 from Canada.
There you go.
Those are the slots available. But hiding a probe up here for the time being. I mean, he did scout the bases down here, guys. He's not crazy. But the nice thing is with the probe up here, it's also very unlikely to be scouted. He's set up pretty nicely back at home too. Desrow not going for anything too all in, not yet at least. Of course, for Protoss, it's just some simple matter of throwing down 7 more gateways and then laughing your way to the bank sometimes. But all saltiness aside, Desrow's been playing a pretty good series so far. His macro's been not too bad. Goes to the long game as to be expected. And JonSnow has been struggling with that, quite frankly. And who can blame him? That many Colossus? That's scary.
This last time this was on this map, there was some odd back and forth where JonSnow seemed to have crushed an attack and then just kind of petered out after maybe overstepping a little bit. And I wonder if Desrow will be doing the exact same thing. He went for, 3 base. Again, that, up to 3 base macro game, but he went for the Blink Stalker attack. It has been what Desrow has opened with, I think, every single PvZ we've seen.
Well, let's see what comes up as a follow. We got the Forge on the way. This doesn't necessarily mean he'll be cranking out anything too crazy. It's once again, it's versus Terran. You'll see those double upgrades, but really versus Zerg, it's just the volatility of weapon damage, trying to get as much out as possible, and not really worried about the repercussions. Because let's be honest, you don't really need to invest in the armor upgrade a whole lot if the force fields are keeping the enemy at bay. If the roaches never get to connect to you.
A couple of Lings want to get a good scout, but that's, the Overlord is getting a good enough scout for them. It goes into the main, sees everything.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not everything, actually. This, well, no, that's just a samurai score. Darn, that would have been a really good place for any other special tech you wanted to hide. It's just to see samurai score.
Well, I like the Hydra's Den commit to JonSnow. His Roach Hydra attempt last time he did this wasn't bad. Oh, well, I guess it was the Ling Hydra more than Roach Hydra. But one of the big things is, he never really got to the Viper tech. And when he did, there was already Templar out waiting for him. If he can be the one who makes the decisions, if he can get there fast enough and cut Desrow off at the pass, so to speak. The thing about Vipers, guys, is you don't need them solely to abduct Colossus into your Roach Hydra ball. Blinding Cloud is basically the Zerg equivalent of Force Field. It creates areas where the Stalkers can't fight. They either come too close to you or they gotta back way the hell away, and suddenly you're no longer fighting. So Blinding Cloud is never a bad thing to get out early. It's a weird person to reference for this, but Destiny actually has impressed me most lately through a combination of Red Bull and WCS qualifiers. He fought several ZVPs, and he was using a lot of really, really good Blinding Clouds.
This is actually looking really very similar to the first time we saw these guys on this map. Like Hydra versus the Blink Opener.
The difference is we're actually taking turns talking this time, though. Oh, making fun of ourselves, so it's less weird. I like the Blink, though. Again, it's just this universally good thing to have. Blink Stalker control can always play up very beneficially. Allows you to get that, I guess, either get away or surround in some cases. You catch a few amount of Hydras on the retreat, blink forward, dead.
Let's not forget what happened last time, alright? JonSnow took a really great first engagement and then just petered off, man. Just petered off. And he's going to be attacking well before Blink is done, well before the +2 is done.
I still don't think he should be doing this. This is no muscular augments. Force fields are going to be so easy to land on these.
Yeah, it is quite an investment, and he really shouldn't do it without any buffer whatsoever. In this case, Links.
He's going to go for it, and I really don't like the choice.
The force field, stop! Okay.
Okay, the forces actually don't do a whole lot here. Desrow, who we've been praising for his force fields all day, lands some very awkward ones, to say the least.
Well, I think what he wanted to happen and what I was worried about was that the force fields kept the Hydras within range of the cannon, so he kind of threw them down hastily, thinking they were going to get away.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Force fields on the ramp this time. Well, actually, this kind of works.
Attack the Nexus now. Okay.
Well, the difference though, he's got Blink, so he can get over the force fields if he needed to.
Blink did finish.
Yeah. I mean, if he had completely locked himself out, then yeah, I understand that oh my god moment. A corpse goes flying, Hydra's being chased.
This is not looking good for JonSnow. I mean, he's going to lose all these Hydras. Yeah, his best bet is to turn around and fight.
This is what I'm talking about, the whole muscular augments issue. I don't know why he chose to go so... I understand getting a little bit aggressive off creep, but to go so ham with no muscular augments, to go in this position, Desrow cleans him up.
Remember that game on King Sejong? Well, actually, no, that was a little bit different.
No, I refuse to, because this game here is out of control. This is ridiculous.
The point is that that was supposed to happen so fast that Desrow was not going to have enough to take care of it, but it just, it was completely not the case. He had plenty of Blink Stalkers, and Blink did finish in a timely manner.
I really like JonSnow. I mean, I've known him for a long time. I've got to cast him ever since he was on the Ascension a long time ago, or StarCraft Ascension rather. I've got to see him grow a lot, and I've seen him play better games than this. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's some tournament jitters. Maybe it's the fact that Desrow plays slightly different than when he was expecting to. But either way, we do see JonSnow struggling here, and I would like to see him not, because he's got such a good game in him, this kid. But right now, it's looking a bit shaky. He has managed to catch up in supply quite heavily. It's worth noting this was equalized here a little bit, but Stalkers have got a huge retention ability. There's mostly Lings, not Hydras, in this army composition for JonSnow. This is not... He's got supply, but is it efficient is the question. 21 Hydras, 15 Lings, 3 Queens. Desrow just has to make sure he doesn't get too greedy, dedicating to one side too hard. Quite frankly, actually, if he had more sentries, I would love if he had like 3 more sentries, walk up the ramp, force field everything out, just kill the natural. But he's baiting fights right now. Taking a couple hits here on a Stalker too, but he clears out a lot of Lings for it. Back and forth here with those Hydras. He's going to get sandwiched in a little bit, but he might just have the units, the actual numbers for this. Keep an eye on the tab. 35 Stalkers to 15 Hydras. I'm pretty confident in the fact that drones are being pulled. The Desrow is about to lock this down. Getting into the round of 8. GG, well played, is called Zombie Grub. We will have Desrow take the series 2-0.